This is Eagle Plains, Yukon, population 9, and today is day 1 of our road to the Arctic Circle. So, over the next week, Matt, Carla, and I will be traveling into the Arctic Circle and going all the way up north to the Arctic Ocean. We're going to be going to a place called Inuvik and Tuktoyaktuk. Today we left Dawson City, which is kind of in the center of the Yukon, and we started the Dempster Highway coming up here to Eagle Plains. The highway is notorious for being not a great highway. It's made out of shale and gravel. Gravel is fine, but as soon as you throw shale into the road, it's just like spikes that go into your tire. So almost everybody that we've talked to has said make sure that you have at least 2 fully working spare tires with you. So we did not prepare for that. We only found out about that side of things about a couple weeks ago, and financially we do not have enough money to make that happen. So we're a little bit nervous. We've been having a little bit of issues with our car over the last month. They started in the Northwest Territories on probably like day 95.
Look at this, Carla, look at this.
We gotta get it repaired, drive to Yellowknife, and hopefully things work out.
It's making me more nervous for like the Dempster Highways, like being up that far and having that happen again. And I just found out we don't have a full spare tire.
There's no reception, no 911 service, and we have no spare tire. And we're about to drive 36 hours on this highway. It's a risk, but we're gonna take it because we've come this far and we're not gonna stop now.
Might have a flat.
I know.
There's something very special about being in a place like this. You become disconnected. You're forced to be present. You're completely at the will of Mother Nature. There's something very humbling and energizing about that. One of the things that makes this trip so special is that we are one of the very first people in the world to be able to drive up to the Canadian Arctic Ocean in a vehicle. Up until now, it's only been accessible by water and by plane. In 2018, a highway connecting the north to the rest of Canada will be completed. We were given special permission by the government to have a patrol vehicle escort us from the town of Inuvik to the final northern destination of Tuktoyaktuk in our vehicle. Considering the weather and the unfinished conditions of the highway, we were strongly recommended to not take the road to Tuktoyaktuk. But we were so close to getting there, and we really wanted to swim in the Arctic Ocean. One of our biggest goals on the 150-day road trip is to swim in all 3 oceans in Canada, and we are literally 300 kilometers away from the Arctic Ocean. So we were gone. So we suited up and we began the bumpy road to Tuktoyaktuk. We made it to Tuk, and we all had sore backs, but the vehicle made it, and that is what was important. But due to the looming bad weather, the road was going to shut down that evening and it was going to close for 4 days, which would strand us there for those 4 days, and we were only planning to stay 1 night. And if we were to stay 4 nights, that would completely wreck the rest of our schedule heading down to BC and into Alberta over the next month. So that was not an option for us, so we literally had 3 hours to explore Tuktoyaktuk, which is definitely not enough, but we saw what we could and we accomplished our goal. So first up, we met with a local who hunts for his food, much like the rest of the population here. He let us try some of his muktuk, which is the skin and blubber from a beluga whale, which is as common as steak is to the rest of the country. It had a very, very fishy taste to it, and considering our very intimate experience with beluga whales and getting to free dive with them earlier on in this trip in the Hudson Bay, I kind of had a hard time with it. But it's part of the culture and that's part of the lifestyle here, and I'm very glad that I did it. We explored the community a bit more by foot before heading to accomplish our main goal for the north, swimming in the Arctic Ocean.
Arctic Ocean!
That was cold. It was not as cold as Newfoundland though. When we were swimming in the Atlantic Ocean, there was icebergs everywhere and the water was -1 degree Celsius. The Arctic Ocean was not that cold yet. Give it a month or two, it's gonna be completely frozen over and you're gonna be able to walk to the North Pole. But as of right now, you could still swim in it. It was cold, not pleasurable, but better than the Atlantic. So Atlantic and Arctic Ocean, check. Pacific, here we come. Our time in Tuktoyaktuk came to an end very, very quickly. We only had 3 hours there, but we got a really good experience, I think. So we met up with our patrol truck driver again, and he led us back the 4 hours to Inuvik. But if you look at the map of Tuktoyaktuk and zoom out, you'll see how many lakes are there. It's incredible how many lakes there are. Driving on the highway, you don't really notice it. You see lakes here and there, but you don't really realize how many there are around you, and you're just this little thing in this massive sea of lakes. Really, like when you think about it, that is a massive feat of construction, really, to like find a way through all those lakes. Pretty cool. The part that I loved about this drive was the scenery. The tundra, it's beautiful. And one of the really cool things is the tree line. The point where trees stop growing in the Arctic is very distinctive. There's actually a line where the trees just can't grow anymore. You have trees and then no trees. It's very cool to see that. So we arrived back in Inuvik and we checked into our hotel for a night, and then we had 4 whole days to explore the town. And that is a luxury on this trip. We're traveling across Canada for 150 days straight, and we are trying to see as much as we can. And when you think about it, Canada is a massive country, and we have a lot of ground to cover in half of a year. So really, we only get about 2, like maximum, just a little bit more than 2 weeks in every province and every territory. So we don't get to spend a lot of time in each place. So having 4 days in a place like Inuvik, awesome. Not only did we get to meet some of the locals there and spend some time with them, but the mayor invited us to come meet him, and he shared some great advice for us spending some time in Inuvik. He suggested to go to the greenhouse. One of the things about living so far north is the ground is permanently frozen year-round, so you can't grow anything. So the town has this massive greenhouse, and they grow their fruit and vegetables year-round inside that greenhouse. And every resident who wants one gets their own plot in the greenhouse, and they get to use it year-round, and then they get to have fruits and vegetables whenever they want. Another thing that is challenging with the ground being frozen here is the fact that you can't dig. So building becomes a lot more difficult. You can't have basements up north. They build the actual buildings on top of these steel or wooden rods, and it hoists the building above the ground, preventing the building from being torn apart by the ground changing shape and density throughout the year from all the freezing and thawing. We also got to see the famous Igloo Church. It is a pretty interesting structure. It's a little old and it's pretty cool inside, but we got a very rare tour and we actually got to go up into the ceiling, and it was old. You could tell it was old because when you look down, when you're up there in the tower, you look down and you're walking on old hockey sticks from the 1950s holding up the structure. Hockey sticks, of course. To end our time in Inuvik, we were taken out to the vast delta offshore. A local and his daughter took us out on their boat to go fishing and just enjoy the north from a different perspective. It was so calm and peaceful out there, completely surrounded by raw nature for 1,000 kilometers in every direction. This is a place that I want to visit again. I would love to come back here in the winter and experience what 24 hours of darkness would be like and how locals survive and thrive in such a cold and barren landscape. But, as every adventure does, it came to an end. Or so we thought. We needed to begin our 60-hour drive back down through the Yukon and into BC to begin our next adventure there. But at this point, we were only halfway completed our 28 hours of the notorious Dempster Highway. We drove for what seemed like forever and stopped back in Eagle Plains for the night. This is a very small community in the middle of the Dempster Highway to fill up with gas and to sleep. We stayed the night and we were woken up by a huge geothermal storm at 2 a.m. The North is known for their amazing northern lights displays. In our month in the North, I had never seen them as strong as I had that night. I laid on the ground and stared up at them for 2 hours in awe of this amazing natural wonder. The next morning, we got up and ate our breakfast out of the back of our car, and we began our second last day driving the Dempster Highway back down to Dawson City.
Oh, we might have a flat.
I know.
So we're somewhere in the middle of the Dempster Highway, in the middle of the Yukon, with no reception, we don't have a satellite phone, and we don't have a spare tire. And we got a flat tire. So this is the beginning of a new adventure. We definitely had our challenges in the North, but it was 100% worth it. The views that we got to see, the people that we met, and the traditions that we learned will be with all of us forever. So now we are about to start our second last province of our 150-day road trip across Canada, and I'm very excited to see what adventures present themselves there. I have a bunch of adventure videos just like this one, but in different parts of Canada and different parts of the world that you should check out on this channel. Also, I do tutorial videos and a bunch of other stuff. So if you like this video, please consider giving it a like and comment in the comment section down below. And also, if you're really enjoying this content, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you really like this content, click the bell button right beside the subscribe button, and that will notify you when the next video comes out. So, thank you very much for watching, happy trails, and until next time.